Welcome to the Builders of Authority podcast, a show committed to helping you build authority for your brand. In the realm of business and personal branding, authority stands as a cornerstone. Authority isn't built overnight, it's built over time. So join us as we build something remarkable together. And now, here's your host, Adam McChesney.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Builders of Authority podcast. Our title sponsor of the podcast is Go High Level. GHL is the first ever all-in-one platform that gives you the tools, support, and resources you need to succeed and crush your marketing goals. Personally, I've used this software since 2020, and it's been a game changer for my business and our clients. If you are looking to level up your CRM and marketing game, then this is the platform to use. You can find a link for a free 30-day trial with tons of Builders of Authority bonuses in the show notes. So take advantage of this opportunity to adopt the amazing software and grow your business. Quick reminder before we hop into today's episode that we are continuing to grow our Builders of Authority community online. Builders of Authority is committed to helping you become the authority in your industry with personal branding. We have our free Facebook group that you can join by typing in Builders of Authority into the search bar on Facebook or clicking the link in the show notes. There's daily content, weekly live trainings, and much more. We have our mastermind community, which includes a lot of extra bonuses like a private Facebook group, additional weekly trainings and sessions, access to our course, and more. You'll see a link for that in the show notes as well, or send me a message on social media to have a conversation. Today, I have an entrepreneur on that has accomplished some amazing things. He's someone that I've looked up to for quite some time and have an immense amount of respect for. Even at times, we've been competitors for a while I was running my agency, but I've always respected him and what his company has done. And his story is one that includes many ups and downs, wins and losses, and everything in between. I've been blessed with the opportunity to meet him in person and hang out quite a few times. And we'll be speaking at his upcoming event in October, which we'll talk about later in the episode. My guest today is Jon Majak. He is the CEO of Mr. Pipeline, author of Ring the Bell, which is an incredible book, and a podcast host of Home Service Greatness. Jon, welcome to the show.
Adam, it's a pleasure to be here, dude. That was very special, man. Thank you for that. I'm honored to be to spend some time with you.
Man, well, I truly mean that. And I know you and I have had some offline conversations just about like our mutual respect for one another. And I think, especially in the agency space in general, like it's really hard to find people like yourself that understand that at times competitors can be competitors, but more importantly, like there's enough business to go around. And when I was running the agency, it was always incredible to just have you as an example of what leading the way looks like. And you've done some incredible things and have continued to do so. So I just have the utmost respect for you.
Thank you so much. It means a lot, man. I've come to learn something in my life. I've been in this entrepreneur game for a long time, and I've coached a lot of people. I've been aligned with a lot of people. And one of the things that stands out to me from the people who like kill it in life, kill it in business, and the ones that kind of hit their own ceiling, that self-constructed ceiling, if you will, is they spend too much energy in not loving, not serving, not showing up. They're spending too much time trying to compete and just, dude, there is room for everybody. And I took a learning lesson from my first business, and I want to share it with you right now. We can jump in fast, but I want to just take a quick step back and tell you there's a reason I'm ingrained in that. When I was young, I was 15 years old, I had a pressure washing business, and I'll never forget it. Some guy rolled up next to me, and he had the baddest machines. I had nothing, just like broken down stuff. And I remember looking at my father, and I said, man, this just isn't fair. Like, how come we can't compete with him? And he looked at me and he was just like, listen, in life, you never throw dirt on anybody's name. Everybody's trying to work hard for their money. We're all just children from above, and our job is to help each other. So why don't you go over and introduce yourself? Be a man. No reason to operate out of fear. I went over, shook his hand, and that guy and myself ended up doing business, made hundreds of thousands of dollars in overflow business and giving each other extra work. Dude, all because you led with love, when most people would have just hit that ceiling, because I did hit that ceiling. Mm-hmm. But like that's lifted me and helped me in every other business. And when I help coach people, I always say the same thing. I share that story because that thing can translate for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I appreciate you sharing that. And that's I mean, we could have just ended the episode right there, and that would have been a good nugget for everybody, because I think it's something that a lot of people struggle with. And whether I coach a lot of people now, whether it's marketing agencies or contractors or realtors or insurance agents, and everybody is so focused, I think right now, probably more than ever, on their competition,
Mhm.
because demand is down. The economy isn't where people want it to be. The leads are down as well. And so in that moment, you kind of have a bend or a break moment where you're either going to double down and get better at your craft and really network with people and build relationships, or you're going to try to go that like below the knee route and just go take away and try to put other people down in order to build you up. And so
Mhm.
I think that was a great way to kind of start this episode. I would love to know, because you have coached so many people and you've ingrained that in so many people, why do you think still so many people focus on their competition
Mm.
more as a competitor than just focusing on building what they know that they
Mm.
probably should be building anyway?
So it's hard to change people. You want to do the best you can to help lift people and help them shatter through their ceilings. But at the end of the day, they wake up, they put their pants on one leg at a time, and they make their own decisions, their own choices. But you do your best as a coach to come up and say, hey, listen, like let me take you through the promised land, because I've walked through hell.
Mm,
And I don't really think you're operating in the right mindset. So whenever I coach somebody, like before we get into the systems and what's right and what's wrong, we talk about their mindset. And
mm,
if you're waking up every day with a poor me scarcity mindset, you'll never have a thriving business.
mm-mm.
So it's like, before you put your feet on the ground, say 5 things that you're grateful for, like literally 5 things. And I learned that, bro, through my hardest times when I didn't want to get out of bed. And I was coached by somebody I looked up to. And he said, dude, just lay in bed. He's like, and before you do that, think about it, your wife, your son, your business, God, whatever that is. And I started doing it one day after the next. And then, like, it takes a certain amount of time to build a habit. I built that habit. I get out of bed, dude, every single day. The second my feet hit the floor, I'll take a step or two and I'll be like, 5 things. And that mental momentum runs with me throughout the whole morning. So then I can just have that growth mindset. I can start killing it in business, killing it in life. And bro, I trip and stumble like everybody else. But at the end of the day, it's like all you have is like what's right here. And you got to get control of that.
Yeah. I think the gratitude aspect is something that for like the first 2 years in business that I just struggled with, because I was in that build mode where it's like hustle, 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 hustle. Because when you're a new entrepreneur, most people don't tell you to start with the things that you're recommending to start with after all the lessons that you've learned. And so I had to really take a step back and really even take a step back this year as well, as to refigure out like what was most important. And I think a lot of people struggle with that because they go and they see the social media, the influencer, the people with the big businesses, or at least they think they have big businesses, and they just go and try to chase that, and they don't have their own definition of success. And it's
Beautiful.
really hard for people to paint that. So how did you define like what success meant for you, and how did you kind of come to that conclusion?
That's awesome. So there's several ways I can answer that, but I can tell you the most important way that I define success is when I started thinking about like what my life looked like at the end, that
Mm,
funeral analogy, if you will.
yep.
When people show up at Jon Majak's funeral, what are they going to say?
Mm,
Was he somebody that actually cared? Was he somebody that really did his best on this short time on this spinning rock? Or was he somebody that bobbed and weaved and always tried to take advantage? And like, once I understood what I was looking for at the end of my life, I was able to reverse engineer that. And business is just a small fragment of it. But for me, I wanted to be a great person. I want to be a great father, a provider, somebody that could, what, Majak, he was the real deal. He really gave it everything he had.
mm,
And dude, that's where I started getting my clarity. And what I did is I reverse engineered that that moment in time, and I started saying, so what's my goal, right? How do I extract that next 30 to 40 years? How do I take it back to 10 years, 5 years, 3 years, and one? And I started realizing I need to accomplish it. If I want that end result, I need to hit these milestones along the way.
Mm.
And some of them are business, some of them are personal, and a lot of them are just like my promises to God throughout the whole process. So for me, I was able to define exactly what success looked like by, dude, the biggest thing, and even goes deeper than that, Adam, knowing that when I make it to heaven, what's God, what's he going to say? Right. And like, that's the moment for me. Like, well done. That's all I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's death. And then there's all these things that lead up to that. So for me, it's being an incredible person, right? Trying to use this moment in time to serve others, to help others. Money is just a byproduct, dude. That thing comes. And I think the minute I took my mind off of trying to chase that shiny object, trying to be a big influencer or trying to make a ton of dough, I was just like, why don't I just lead with love, serve as high at the highest level I can, dude? And that's when all of a sudden, like, my conquer opportunity came. And I started, like, I took myself out of a pressure washing struggle mindset, built a business, but some people would say it was great. Some people would say it was a struggle, but it's like, I built it, I sold it. And then the minute that I took my mind off of that, I was offered an opportunity through Brandon Vaughn and to come into the Conquer program and coach and teach people. And all of a sudden, everything opened up. I realized, like, wait a minute. This is everything I've been praying for my entire life. And it all happened because I just kept trying to help others. And I didn't care about the money. And then the next thing unfolded, and the next thing, and the next thing. So, dude, that's the best way I could answer that.
Isn't it funny how when we stop focusing on like the money and the accolades and all the crap that like the social media world thinks is important, usually the stuff that we originally wanted when we focus on the right stuff ends up coming into our life?
Mm-hmm. It's amazing, dude. And what did we say the first time we chatted on the phone? What you would think that conversation would have been nothing about so much about like, how can we do business? What can we do to make money right now?
Yeah.
When the whole conversation was just like, hey, just know that I'm here for you, dude.
Yeah.
If you ever need anything, I'm right here.
Yeah.
Because there was a moment I was looking around for help or guidance or just somebody. So I told myself, man, at a certain moment in my life, I just want to be that person for somebody.
Yeah.
And everywhere I go, I say that, like, if I can help you, I'd love to. No strings attached.
Mm-hmm.
And you were the same way, dude. If there's anything we can do together beyond business, I'm here for you too.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the space we need to start operating from as entrepreneurs. When you're always trying to compete and take each other out and go after each other's business, it's like, dude, there's a light, there's a moment, I got this hourglass back here. Like, your sand will run out if you're operating in a mindset like that. But it'll never run out if you're just constantly figuring out how to help others.
Yeah. Now, when you do enough good for other people, even your competitors, you always find ways to have more good come back for you as well. That 10X rule, I believe. But no, this is a great way to start off the episode. So as we kind of dive in, tell us a little bit about that entrepreneurial journey. I know obviously you mentioned it started at 15. Kind of walk us from you being in that pressure washing business, exiting that company, becoming a coach at Conquer, and then all the stuff that's happened in between then.
So the entrepreneurial journey is, I was telling somebody the other day, it's a beautiful disaster. It's been nothing but trying to figure it all out. Yep. And it's something I would never change for the life of me. I truly believe that you can transform and become an incredible entrepreneur and come from a business career and do it. Like, I've seen it happen, and I love that story. And my story is a little different. Like, I never was able to lock into a job, and I don't know why. Maybe because I came from nothing, dude. Like, I had this moment growing up in this really shitty apartment, and my mom was never there. My dad was never there. And it's just me. And I remember seeing all my friends and all these schools that I went to. I'm like, God, they got families. They've got real things going on here. Yeah. And my motivation came from, dude, I would never want to have a child grow up the way I'm feeling. And right. So how did I get out of that? well, I got to figure out how to make money. I got to figure, because obviously money wouldn't allow me to live so poorly.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to figure out how to make money along the way. And I just started reading and studying and taking everything I could in. That's why I love what you do, because what you're doing is trying to educate and help entrepreneurs be students. Because when you're a student, you that's what you need, man. Like the learners are earners. Like the more you grip onto, the faster you can skyrocket. So I read every book you could imagine from Think and Grow Rich to just, you name it, dude. And before you know it, I started applying a lot of that stuff into pressure washing, into lawn mowing, into painting houses. And I started really start getting some great traction. And I ended up building up a couple different businesses. A lot failed along the way. I had magazines, I had all sorts of stuff, and they all failed. And then one stuck, and then three more failed, and another stuck. And dude, I was a joke for a long time. I really was. I remember being really embarrassed growing up because I was known as the person that I was always starting businesses and we could really never make anything happen. And I was embarrassed. Even when I got married, that was the stigma that I felt as a young man trying to get out of that poor life. I finally got out, found my soulmate, but that was still the energy that was rolling around. There's Jon Majak trying to figure it out. Good luck, right? And at the end of the day, all I knew in the back of my heart, in the back of my head, that I was planting seeds everywhere and tilling them and watering them. And I just knew it. Nobody knew it but me.
Mm-hmm.
And over time, one started to sprout and another started to sprout and another started to sprout. And it's like, people look at me now and they're like, how'd you get it? I planted 500,000 seeds 25 over the last 25 years.
Yeah.
And just over the last 5 or 6, maybe 8 years, they really started to come up. And now I'm very well aware of it, humbled by it, and thankful. Mm-hmm. And now I'm just trying to help people do the exact same thing. Don't doubt yourself, man. Mm-hmm. Plant those seeds, till them, work at them, work at yourself. Mm. We'll start sprouting, but it's not in your timing. It's in God's timing.
Mm. Well, I think what you just said right there is something I know I struggled with it, but a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with it. Like, we've had to shut down our landscape design company. We did that about 1.5 years in. And that was, for me, is like, okay, like, am I a failure? Is this a direct reflection of me? And then when I walked away from the agency, it was like, okay, this was kind of like my baby, right? It was the first true business that I had. And I think a lot of people struggle with thinking that their first business or their second business has to be their like forever thing. But I had to take a back seat and realize, like, the reason I went into entrepreneurship to begin with was for the freedom, right? Digital marketing, that agency just so happened to be the vehicle that I had at the time to be able to do it. But there's bigger and better things. Now, some people, it's not always the case. Like, your first business might be maybe a forever thing or something that's passed down or sold or whatever. But I think a lot of people struggle to and they hold on to something because they fear that public view of, like, is this a failure? What are people going to think of me? And it's just the wrong mindset to go about things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no doubt. You, the minute that you stop caring what the world thinks is the minute that you just shattered through a ceiling. Mm. Now you can just operate in a frequency of just taking action. And I tell people all the time, take imperfect action, fail all the time, as much as possible. Like, get up, try your absolute best. And if you catch an L that day, good for you. Good for you. Because at the end of the day, you're one step closer to a win. Mm-hmm. My sales guys and any company that I'm with, I say the same thing. I'll take your no's. Get a lot of no's. Get as many no's as you can, because that's one more no leads you to another yes. Mm-hmm. So it's all part of the process, man. I've been on this journey recently of studying the universal laws. And I've come to realize like there is a special component of resilience built into all these laws. Like what goes up must come down, the so forth. Up there has to be below, right? Like everything is one, but between it all is like this friction of resilience, and you have to be incredibly cognizant in knowing that it's all part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. It's a law. It's a universal law. So don't get frustrated if if you're struggling right now. If you're in a place right now where you're not sure if it's going to work, that's okay. Give yourself grace, dust yourself off, and stay on the grind. It's only a matter of time.
Mm-hmm. So how did you go from, running those businesses? You became a business coach. Did you become a business coach and then start Mr. Pipeline, or kind of how did all of that kind of come into the picture?
So I sold my pressure washing business. And when I sold it, the crazy part is my strength wasn't in the, I like the customer service. Like I loved making sure Mrs. Jones was happy.
Mm-hmm.
But my strength wasn't in like the technical with the machines. And a lot of these guys are like really good with building stuff. And that wasn't me. For me, I was really good at marketing, generating business, making sure Mrs. Jones was over delivered on every aspect. So what I did was when I sold my business, I realized I had to do my breakdown for when I sold it. There was a huge amount of money that was made from generating leads on site. Mm-hmm. So I had this system where we showed up. We didn't just clean driveways, clean roofs. When we rolled up, I made sure that we did a walk around. We had this system where it was like, there's a busted gutter, the roof tiles are broken, the mailbox is messed up, the paint was chipped. So I would end up having my techs walk around, find out what was wrong, and then ultimately, after the job was done, we would generate those leads and ask Mrs. Jones, "Hey, looks like you need a paint job, right? Is there anything? Do you have a painter, or should I find somebody? Actually, I do need a paint job, right?" So what we do, we generate these on-site leads. And when I sold my pressure washing business, I had a database of probably 500 different contractors that I would sell leads to all day long. That's the wild part, dude. When I sold the business, I showed up to pay my last bill at the chlorine store. And the guy looked at me, he goes, "So what are you going to do now?" And I said, "Dude, I don't know." He's like, "Why don't you take over my marketing?" And I'm like, "You're a pool company. I probably can't do that." He's like, "Try it." I'm like, "Let's give it a shot." And I took his business from 1 million to 3.5 million in 12 months just by deploying great ads, helping be somebody he can trust. And the painter I used to flip leads to came to me and said, "Can you help us market?" I'm like, "I can't market for a painting company. I've never done it, but let's give it a shot." Took their business from like 1 truck to 7 trucks in like a year or two. Dude, and before you know it, like, that's what I meant with when you just lead and serve and help others, life will align itself.
Yeah.
Like I don't just say that. I say it because I'm living proof. I did no intentions on starting Mr. Pipeline.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I got to start a business. I got to create a name and a logo. And I've got 2 clients. Before you know it, I'm cold calling. I got 5 clients, 20 clients. Here we are 12 years later, bro, north of 500 clients. It's an incredible blessing. And it's something I'm really humbled by because, dude, it's the same thing. Every time something happens in our company, because they happen in every company, I say, let's get back to the basics here. How much did you really show up for the client? Mm-hmm. Did you really go above and beyond? Did you do everything you could? Because if you did, then maybe it just wasn't the right client. But if you didn't, like, let's take a step back, humble ourselves, and let's get back to business here. So before you know, it's like Mr. Pipeline's built on something solid because nothing's changed from the start.
Yeah.
And then throughout that process, bro, Conquer came in. I had a webinar with Josh Latimer, before you know it, who's somebody I massively look up to. We were on the call one day and he's like, "Bro, you'd be a really great Conquer coach. I got this thing Conquer going on and I think you'd be awesome at it." I was like, "All right, let's give it a shot, dude. I think it would be awesome to help other guys." And before you know it, I took off. I did it for a few years. And then just more things started happening throughout the years. And it's wild how life happens, man. Now I have just a windows and doors company in South Florida. virtual assistant thing, this gutter thing, like things happen exactly like they're supposed to.
Yeah.
And you were right on the money when you said, don't try to just jump over and get to home plate. You still got to hit that ball. You got to get your gloves on right, because you're not even ready sometimes to be able to handle this level of stress. So you got to figure out how to get to first and then to second. So yeah, dude, that's been the journey, and that's how I've gotten here today. It's just one step at a time.
Yeah. That's incredible. What has been like the biggest aha moment of your entrepreneurship journey when it comes to like, okay, this is what I was probably most surprised or shocked by about like who I have to become or who I've had to become over the process?
It's an awesome question. My very best answer is to remember that, for at least for me, I can't speak for everybody, but from my perspective, the importance of having faith in your life, of having a belief system in your life. And when you start to come up, you'll meet so many people that are levels above you that'll say, dude, no politics, keep it out, right? Keep faith out. Like, you've got to be singular focused on business.
Mm-hmm.
And bro, I took that advice for a long time. But then I started to realize all I'm doing is hitting the ceiling, because I'm not even talking about who I actually am. I'm coaching, I'm helping people, but behind closed doors, when people are really struggling, and I'm praying with them, like I'm truly like letting people know, like, you gotta have faith. And because faith got me out of my own hell. Without God, I wouldn't even be here talking to you today.
Mm-hmm.
So like, my biggest realization is the minute that I stopped listening to other people and I started truly remembering who I was, a child of God. I was just like, dude, for our meetings, we pray. We get on these Zooms and like people are struggling. And I look at them and I say, we got to slow down. We got to remember what we're even doing this for, right? Like, let's bow our heads and give thanks before we start moving. Bro, people are blessed. They feel grateful. And then we just get to business. But it's operated out of the right frame. It's not about us. It's about the one that made us. And then, dude, that's been my biggest takeaway from over the last 25, 30 years. Don't remember who's in charge.
Love it.
Don't forget who's in charge.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's very, very, very impactful. And I think I've had to kind of go back to a lot of that stuff, really get recentered with myself and with my faith, because you can have a lot of success, or more success than you thought you ever had, without putting that front and center. But what happens is when times get tough and you're like, I want to quit, this doesn't make any sense, I'll just go get a job, this is stupid. That's when the faith aspect really comes in, of being like, why am I doing this?
Mm-hmm.
How did I get to where I'm at? And it is a much bigger thing than just a me thing. It's a we thing, and it's a God thing. And that's where I think I've seen it, and a lot of people don't see it until they run through that tough patch, or that series in entrepreneurship that really gets them on a different path than they thought they were.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And then the people you look up to the most, like, really think about it. The ones that are 10, 20 years above us, it's like, if you really like understand some of those people, who they are at their core, like for me, somebody like Tony Robbins, he's just an incredible human.
Mm-hmm.
And I never really had that mentor in life, or that person I look up to. So I had to find those people, and he's one of them.
Yep.
And I just think about all the success he's created in his personal life and his professional life. And I think about it all comes down because at the end of the day, he's anchored into his faith, which then spills into his family life, into his businesses, and he gives back and serves. And that's just what it's about. So that's why I tell people too, like, if you're looking to be different in a competitive market, think about giving back. Think about helping others, right? Be different. Build a business that's built around service. And like, you'll realize, like, employees want to work for you because you're not somebody who's taking all the profit and stuffing it in their pockets, right? You're somebody who's giving back to local food banks, or who's doing charity work. like those little things are the difference makers in terms of like bringing back incredible employees, clients staying on board. So yeah, it's funny how that aspect is so relevant across the board.
Absolutely. Yeah. So talk to us a little bit about Gutter Summit. I know we have that coming up. I'm excited to be there. Let's
Happy to have you, man.
Yeah, let's kind of finish up the episode there.
Cool. So Gutter Summit is our first summit presented by our mastermind, Gutter Growth. And once again, this is the narrative of this podcast is like just lead, love, serve, all that stuff. And I'll tell you, when I pulled my partner into this business because he didn't want to do it, I said, dude, you're a really special person, but I need to help you break through any sort of limiting beliefs you have. You've been serving for years. Let's get you out front and center. Mm-hmm. And when I pulled him into it, before you know it, people are like, I've been waiting for him to help out. I've been waiting to figure out how to work and align myself with him. I'm like, it's a beautiful thing. So people start, before you know it, we started having 10, 20, 50 people, people started coming into this mastermind like crazy. And then the talk of like doing something for the community, like doing something together came up. So we decided to put on our first summit. And you know this better than anybody. It's not easy. It's really, really challenging. So much respect for you for knocking that out of the park and continuing to grow that, dude. It's very challenging. Mm-hmm. So what we're doing is we're putting on something very special. It's never been done at this level. It's a very hands-on, very interactive, it's going to be more VIP than anything type of experience for the gutter community. So we're really excited about it. It's happening in October 9th through 11th at the Georgian Hotel in Atlanta. And it's we've got some really, really crazy cool things planned.
Love it. And where can people sign up, find out more information about the event?
Yeah, so check out guttersummit.com. Check out guttersummit.com. You'll see the list of speakers on there. You'll see some of the things we have built out. But yeah, definitely jump on there. We're working hard to sell it out, make sure it's on fire. But it's moving fast, man. And there's really not going to be that much more time to grab tickets. So if you're on the fence or you're thinking about it, the time is now to jump in.
Love it. Well, we'll definitely put that in the show notes and make sure to promote that as well when the episode comes out. I'm excited for that event. I know you guys are going to absolutely crush it. Just knowing what you guys are already doing behind the scenes, it's going to be an incredible event. So if you're listening to this episode, make sure to check it out, buy your tickets soon so that way you can get your seat locked in. But Jon, man, this has been an incredible episode. I'm really glad we got the opportunity to do this. I'm grateful for our friendship and grateful for the opportunity to come speak at the event. Where can people stay connected with you online, whether it's social media, websites, all that stuff? We'll put it in the show notes.
Cool. So you can jump on to jonmajak.com. If you want to just reach out to me, send me a note. That's an awesome spot. You can also reach out Facebook, Instagram. I'm all over the board. Whatever's the best for your audience, wherever they live, reach out to me on that platform. I'll respond back. And dude, I'll tell you what, I meant it when I said, Adam, like it's an honor spending time with you, bro. I love watching what you're doing. You know, I've been rooting for you from day one. Yep. And I think I called you out a couple of times publicly saying, I can't wait to see the lives you change over the next decade. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy to be part of the journey with you.
Man, I appreciate that. Thanks so much for taking the time and looking forward to seeing you here in a couple months.
Much love, man. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, thanks again to Jon, and thanks again to the audience for listening to today's episode and to our title sponsor, Go High Level. Without them, we aren't able to produce the quality of content or have amazing guests on like we did today with Jon. Check out a free and extended 30-day trial in the show notes. Make sure as well to leave us a 5-star review. Share this episode on social media. Tag Jon. Let more people know about what we're doing here with the Builders of Authority podcast. We're making a big push for reviews this year, and it definitely helps move the needle. And remember, authority isn't built overnight, it's built over time.
Thanks so much for tuning into this episode. We sure do appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, make sure you're subscribed to the show wherever you consume podcasts. This way you'll get notifications as new episodes become available. If you feel so inclined, please leave us a review. We sure do appreciate it. Until next time, friends.